nikifika hapo ni kwa kusign, nikichukua kama anachukua rims 2, huwa na sign hapo nimechukua 2. Lakini
hakuna cha lakini.
Ngoja.
Hakuna cha lakini, asiweke lakini.
Sasa utatufundisha vile tutafanya kazi hapa.
Lakini mimi hapana fanye huko.
Hii nayo huwezi kitoa. Hii ukitoa hata ukondoe macho, hii huwezi kitoa. Askari. Nakuuliza namna hivi. Wewe ni mwalimu wako?
Umeniita aje?
Askari.
Alafu mheshimiwa, wewe naona mimi na sasa heka. Mimi nilikuwa na kijana moja. Na yeye alikuwa na mitoto 3.
Ulikuwa na hizo kitu umeseka. Market hakuna kitu nimeipa na akamalizia amathifu. Kwa hivyo mheshimiwa, mimi sijaipa.
Accessibility when it comes to persons with disabilities. How about we make our transport industry and our building infrastructure to be accessible to everyone?
Captain Nick boasts of a good record in his work journey before he was involved in an accident.
Be a good person, be a good Kenyan, try and be well.
Dan believes that creating an accessible environment will not only benefit persons with disabilities, but also the larger society.
Let's not leave persons with disabilities behind. Persons with disabilities are like you and me.
Differently.
Well, it is exactly 2 minutes to the top of the hour. Welcome to our broadcast. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim, the sign language interpreter. At the bottom end of the screen is Lucy Mora. We're keeping an eye on various developing stories from the corridors of justice all the way to the counties, the devolved units that is. And of course, as and when we get those live links, we'll be sharing them with you. But for now, let's update you on other stories making headlines at this hour, where teachers and parents have expressed frustrations over the scarcity of essential learning materials in bookstores as students transit to grade 9. Parents and teachers, particularly in the arid and semi-arid areas, have raised concerns over the struggle of acquiring grade 9 textbooks and inadequate food supply in schools. They now say they are worried about their children failing behind in studies due to lack of proper resources. They have urged the government to step in and ensure that schools have sufficient resources to meet the needs of the students.
New parents have had challenges of getting textbooks, so I think the new curriculum, that is the CBC, should at least make sure that there are books in the bookshops, or maybe the government can do something about it.
Though parents are missing some of the books which are not yet shelved, but we've been promised by the end of Feb we are going to get some of the books which are missing.
Naomba serikali itusaidie tupate chakula ambacho watoto wanaweza kula lunch hour and they are assured of a meal the next day, na hiyo itawawezesha wawe wanakuja shule bila kuchelewa.
Still on education matters, over 39,000 early childhood development education learners in Kiambu County have received learning materials courtesy of the Office of Kiambu Governor Kimani Wamatangi. The initiative, according to the county government, reflects its commitment to providing young learners in the region with a solid foundation in education. Speaking during the distribution of learning kits, Kiambu Governor Kimani Wamatangi at the same time said his administration will offer free support to teachers pursuing diploma courses in a bid to enhance education standards in the region. He also emphasized the importance of collaborating with like-minded investors through public-private partnership to boost education in local learning institutions.
Hii itakuwa ndio kanuni. So even in our ECD bill, zile provisions zenye ziko pale wakati tunaipitisha facilitation ya watoto hii mambo ya vitabu na mambo mengine, it should be captured to ensure that all this is not only going to be done when Kimani Wamatangi is a governor, but this is going to be a pace that will be maintained and done all the way through. We are enrolling our teachers free of their own charge for diploma courses. The next frontier is to make sure that how walimu wetu pia we have empowered them. One, to also have the benefits that a teacher is having at that level.
It's a very good idea and a noble idea for us in the leader state to support our government, from the county government to national government.
And of course, one of the developing stories we're following up this afternoon is about rogue drivers. You do remember the scenes you're witnessing on the roads, especially during the December holidays, as well as even yesterday where the National Transport and Safety Authority, that is the NTSA, impounded 2 matatus filmed, of course, frankly breaching traffic laws along the Nairobi-Ngong. And let's listen in to the proceedings. They have been arraigned in court.
Haya maelezo ni ya kweli. Koti imepata na hatia ya kuitikia makosa.
Well, of course, that was earlier on. Our reporter Yusuf Farah is following up on that particular bit. Is that John Mwangi and Dominic Amanya, drivers of the Matatu's registration, the numbers registered there is KDG 195K as well as KDQ 111T have pleaded guilty to the charges of operating unroadworthy vehicles with the TV screens that distracted the driver's vision, and of course a tinted windscreen braking system fault and unauthorized lights. They have been fined 50,000 shillings each or a 6-month jail term. The vehicles have been taken, of course, by NTSA inspection officers, and of course they will get authorization to operate once more, of course, as and when they are cleared by the National Transport and Safety Authority, and will duly inform you in our subsequent bulletins. Now, a section of leaders from Malindi in Kilifi County have raised concerns over the emergence of gangs terrorizing locals, contributing to increased insecurity in the area. The leaders say a notorious machete-wielding gang has been linked to several incidents of violence, extortion and other unlawful activities, especially in the Ganda as well as Shela ward. The leaders say no one will be allowed to disturb the peace.
Vijana wamepanga line pale wakijifanya ni traffic. Ukipita na gari unaambiwa weka gari kando, toa 500. Hauna pesa unatobolewa tairi.
Usalama jamani ni jambo la muhimu. Usiweke wenzako roho juu, waishi roho juu, ikifika magharibi kila mtu akimbilia nyumbani kwa sababu waogopa vijana wa mapanga. Hatuna tena uhuru kuzunguka Malindi, kwa nini iwe hivyo? Hatuna tena raha ya kuzunguka Malindi, kwa nini iwe hivyo?
Ukali mwingi hautasaidia hao watu wa siku hizi. Tukae nao, tuongee nao, tuwapende. Hata kama wanafanya makosa, yale makosa tuyabebe kama wazazi na tuwarekebishe, ili hii jamii yetu ya maeneo haya iwe salama.
And in other news, politicians in Kakamega County have been cautioned against politicizing healthcare services. A move stakeholders say misleads residents and drives some of them to seek treatment from pharmacists as well as even quack doctors. The warning was issued by stakeholders from the Kakamega County Health Department during a visit to Navakholo County Hospital to oversee the distribution of drugs and assess the hospital's performance. Drug worth 1.8 million shillings have been supplied to the hospital.
There have been politics around here that drugs are not supplied. It's only condoms from politicians who want a mileage and to spoil for the current government. You've seen that there are drugs here.
We want to call upon them not to go to the chemists to buy drugs, but from the community, they can reach here and get the services.
And now welcome to the world of business. Tatu City developer Endeavour has made management changes that it says will enhance efficiency and cater for versatile emerging markets. David Kipen has been appointed as the chairperson of the Endeavour to replace Frank Mosier, who has retired having served in that position for more than 8 years. Mosier will still remain as the board director and one of the largest stake shareholders. The firm has also appointed Wheeler as well as Daryl Blocker to its board as independent directors. Endeavour is the owner and developer of Tatu City in Kenya, Alaro City in Nigeria and Kwishi Special Economic Zone in DRC. Endeavour is also building Annapolis City and King City in Ghana. And on the international front, TikTok will appear before the U.S. Supreme Court later today in a last-ditch effort to overturn a ban in a case testing the limits of national security and free speech. The social media platform is challenging a law passed last year ordering the firm to be split from its Chinese owner or be blocked from the United States by 19th of January. Here are the details of this and other stories making headlines across the globe.
The U.S. government is arguing that without a sale, TikTok could be used by China as a tool for spying and political manipulation. But TikTok rejects that claim, arguing it has been unfairly targeted and the measure violates the free speech of its some 170 million American users. Lower courts have sided with the government, but the case was complicated last month when U.S. President-elect Donald Trump weighed in on the dispute and asked for the enforcement of the law to be paused to grant him time to work out a deal. TikTok is already banned from government devices in countries such as the UK and faces more bans in more countries. Meanwhile, global economic growth is projected to remain at 2.8% in 2025, unchanged from last year according to a latest report released by the United Nations. Despite falling inflation, improving labor market conditions and monetary easing, global growth is predicted to remain below the pace seen before the pandemic. Africa is forecast to grow 3.7% in 2025, up from a projected expansion rate of 3.4% in 2024. This is thanks to recoveries in major economies including Egypt, Nigeria and South Africa. Finally, Ghana's new government could seek extra funding from the International Monetary Fund to cushion the economy. The West African gold and cocoa producer defaulted on most of its external debt in 2022, leading to a painful restructuring which is at its tail end. Ghana's President John Mahama has pledged to conclude the process by striking a deal with its non-Eurobond commercial creditors. The new government has also pledged to overhaul the management of the crucial cocoa sector, which has been facing challenges in recent years. Frederick Moki for Lunchtime News.
Well, it is exactly 11 minutes past the hour. We need to take our first commercial break, but when we come back, we'll be taking a look at some of the reactions given that the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education results were released yesterday at Mtihani House. Don't go too far. That and so much more on the other side.
Let's begin by basically hope nini. We won't understand hope kanini. Now hope does not disappoint because the love of God has been poured out in our hearts by the Holy Spirit who gives hope. And that kind of hope is not based on probability, is not based on what we see, it's based on what we believe. Wow. We're not planted the right place. When your season comes, you either bear or you not bear fruits. Wow. So there's a season where you put in work.
Got some things to tell you. Keep on believing, keep on pushing.
We have good news for you.
That's how I like. Tulimpata leo around saa 9 hivi asubuhi.
Yes! Yes!
Kaikara does not. He does not forgive easily. What will you have, my dear?
Let me have the good news first.
I got that monster.
How did you get him?
Has your mother told you that Kaikara has all our phones stopped?
What?
Ukajua tu ile mbuka tumechapia dosi usiku kucha. Hakuna kujamaza jama hapo. I don't know whether it's me who's being paranoid, but something does not sound right with this whole situation.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now to more reactions on the recently released KCSE examination. Schools, students and parents across the country continue to celebrate top performance in the 2024 Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education. Moi High School, Mbiruri in Embu County topped the county for a record second consecutive time, posting 23 straight A's. Schools in Migori, Kisii, Samburu as well as Busia also recorded improved performance as more KCSE candidates managed university entry points. This and more is in our KCSE wrap-up.
Moi High School, Mbiruri in Runyenje's constituency in Embu once again stamped its dominance as an education giant in the county after posting 23 straight A's in 2024, up from 8 straight A's in 2023, an improvement of a mean score of 8.4 compared to 8.0 in 2023.
Imeinuka kutoka 8.0 to 8.4 na tunashukuru Mungu kwa hayo yote. Tunatarajia hata mwaka ujao tutaweza hata kufanya zaidi kuliko vile tumefanya.
In Isiolo County, it was all joy for an 18-year-old Kasmira Shiki, who schooled in Mangu High School and scored an impressive A-plane of 84 points to emerge among the top performers of last year's KCSE.
Mimi naona it is something unusual. For me, it is a very, very big miracle, a very big blessing. Because even discipline-wise, is just a good boy. He's very polite, very humble.
As teacher, my subject teachers, I would like to thank them so much for being with me every step of the way and for believing in me. Vile niliona, they can't let me stay down. They always put me up. Sapia mi nikaona kama they see me as in wananieka like on a pedestal, so I should repay them and work hard, be like the best version of myself.
In Busia County, a section of day schools led by Father Okodoi and SEK Machakusi in Teso South and Central posted an improvement in performance, with 25 students managing university entry points.
Hapo zamani shule ya Okodoi ilikuwa imejulikana kwa sababu ya good performance, lakini iliweza ikaenda chini kidogo mpaka wa mwaka wa leo ambao tumepata A-. I
would like to join the Technical University of Kenya to pursue electrical engineering.
In Kakamega, joy and celebrations marked the atmosphere as students celebrated impressive academic results.
Raj is a school that imekuwa consistent in its performance. As much as tumekuwa tujapata hiyo mean, lakini ukiangalia the performance has been good, but this time God has overwhelmed us with the good results.
Kwa najianza nimefanya juhudi zote, nimepata an A-, lakini nilikuwa natarajia A-plane. Bado namshukuru tu Mungu kwa umbali amenitoa because it's not easy.
In Meru County, Meru School emerged as the best in the region, a feat attributed to the discipline of the students and the combined hard work.
Compared to the last year, where we presented 445 candidates, this year's results are far much better because last year we earned 22 A-plane. This year we earned 52. That means we have earned an increase of 30 plane A's.
Giverson Mana, Lunchtime News.
And now to a developing story here where the National Assembly's Committee on Defence and Foreign Affairs says Margaret Ndugu's refusal to take up her nomination as Kenya's envoy to Ghana has embarrassed the country and the president. The committee's chairperson, Nelson Koech, says there is a need for due diligence in settling on a candidate for a consideration for appointment to avert such situations in the future. Margaret Ndugu, in declining to appear before the vetting committee, cited personal reasons as the grounds to refuse to take up the role in Accra.
It looks like the destination Ghana is jinxed. This is the second nominee to decline their nomination to Ghana, and I would like to read a letter to the clerk of the National Assembly that was written by Dr. Margaret Nyambura Ndungu. And she says that I would like to give my appreciation for the invitation to appear before the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations on 10 January 2025, 10th January 2025, at Parliament Building, Nairobi. Pursuant to Section 610 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act number 3 of 2011, I wish to inform you that I will not appear before the said committee at the time and the venue specified for the approval hearing. This has been occasioned by my personal and compelling family matters, which matters, after taking into consideration, will not allow me to take up the position of the High Commissioner to Ghana as nominated by His Excellency the President on 19 November 2024. She further says that to save the precious time of the important parliamentary business as per the provisions of the Act aforementioned, kindly take note that this letter serves as a notice not to appear. Thank you for invitation and follow-up. Consequently, it means that she has declined. And I think this committee, it is imperative now that we put notice to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the head of public service that they should do their due diligence in future when doing this appointment. There are so many Kenyans who are deserving these appointments. The picking of names of individuals who probably might not have been consulted or who have no interest to represent our country is not only an embarrassment to the country, but an embarrassment to the head of state. So we want to put on notice the head of public service and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that this exercise of dropping names of individuals who are not interested in being diplomats should stop and should be a bit more cautious and intentional in looking on people who have interest to serve the country and to represent the president in areas of their posting. It is extremely embarrassing that for the second time, Ghana nominee High Commission has had to decline this posting. So as a committee, we take that not very lightly, and we are putting notice to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and head of public service. They should be a bit more diligent and vigilant on the people that they send to Parliament. Thank you very much. We now.
And of course, the vettings will continue. And still on vetting, the vetting of President William Ruto's nominees to various diplomatic posts commenced today. Appearing before the National Assembly's Committee on Defense and Foreign Affairs were former Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Andrew Karanja, who has been nominated as the Kenyan ambassador to Brazil, former Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba, a nominee for Kenya's permanent representative to the United Nations Environment Program UNEP, and a former Deputy IG Nur Gabo, who was appointed as the Consul General of the Consulate of Kenya in Haiti. Former ICTCS Margaret Ndugu has declined the nomination as a Kenya ambassador to Ghana.
I believe I'll not be walking into a space that I'll find strange or new. I'll walk into a space where I am well familiar. I'm also familiar with a large number of our foreign service. And so I believe that I am ready to serve.
This is an opportunity for us. I would go for it, and I would look at all the avenues where we can be able to open up the labor market in Brazil especially for young people. As you know, Brazil has a big population of African descent, maybe 50%. So it will not be, although the only challenge there is maybe the language, but we will be able to look at avenues where we can be able to open up our labor markets in Southern and Latin America.
And of course, we'll duly inform you in our subsequent bulletins. Now, about 1,000 youth in Kisii County are said to be offered technical and vocational skills training to empower them to start businesses in various sectors. The training being financed by KCB Foundation will focus on building and construction, carpentry, electrical installation, catering and hospitality, automotive engineering, domestic services, sustainable agribusiness, beauty and personal care, ICT and creative arts.
And the deal between KCB Foundation and the Kisii County government beneficiaries will, upon completion of their training, receive industry-specific toolkits to help them start their own businesses and transition into self-employment. Kisii Governor Simba Arati says the training will boost both youth employability and the local economy.
This is a significant milestone towards empowering the young people of Kisii County. We also want to recognize the efforts of all the KCB group staff who also worked with the county leadership in the various villages and were able to talk about this program and sensitize the young people to be able to join this program.
The training will be delivered through National Industrial Training Authority certified technical and vocational education training institutions.
The importance of vocational training cannot be gainsaid, as it addresses growing level of unemployment currently experienced in the country, given that the graduates are able to go directly into self-employment through self-reliance skills.
World of sports. The national soccer team Harambee Stars will face Burkina Faso in the finals of the Mapinduzi Cup if they secure a victory against host Zanzibar this evening at the Gombani Stadium in Pemba Island. Burkina Faso advanced to the final after a solid 2-0 win over Tanzania's Kilimanjaro Stars last night. Harambee Stars are now placed second with 4 points following one win over Tanzania and their opening draw with Burkina Faso, who have won 2 matches so far and drawn one. The host Zanzibar lie third, 3 points after their 1-0 defeat of Tanzania, and still have hopes of clinching the title if they finish in the second position. Tanzania have had a disappointing campaign where they fall with no points in the 4-team tournament. This leaves the top 3 teams, Burkina Faso, Kenya and Zanzibar, in contention for the title in the final decider, when the winner of the round-robin matches will face the runners-up. And across Europe, the stage is set for another El Clasico between Real Madrid and Barcelona this Sunday in the Super Cup finals after the Spanish champions beat Real Mallorca 3-0 in the semi-final at the King Abdullah Sports City. Jude Bellingham's second-half strike and Ventila's own goal and Rodrigo's stoppage time winner commented the Los Blancos' win in the FA Cup third round in England. Everton beat Peterborough 2-0 at the Goodison Park as Fulham put 4 past Watford with only one reply at the Craven Cottage to advance to the fourth round.
Mbappe, Vinny Jr. drifts in from the wing. Vinny Jr. over Mbappe, Rodrigo! Crashes off the post, falls to Mbappe, Mbappe blasts it in, comes to Bellingham, Bellingham squeezing it in! If at first you don't succeed, try and try and try again! And Real Madrid get the insurance of a second goal. Mbappe's in there, defender scores! Victory complete for Real Madrid!
Will get it done. We've seen it 1,000 times before. And
there's the third, swept home by Rodrigo. Flicked it through and Beto, no flag, it has to be, and is! animated celebration. Jai taking a rare spot kick for them here. A chance to send Everton through to round 4, which he's done.
And before we conclude our coverage this afternoon, I want to take you live to Kenya High School, where we do understand the principal is speaking. Of course, celebrations after receiving the KCSE examinations. Let's listen in to those students.
The last year, the Form 4 saw a lot of challenges. We saw the floods that disrupted the semester, Gen Z, maandamano, and also the teacher strike. How did you ensure you fill in those specific missed time to manage to score such an amazing grade?
I think this is where the aspect of mental health plays a key role. Our school ensured that they brought in Shamiri program that ensured our mental state was high. They guided us through the whole country affairs, and they ensured that we did not dwell our minds so much in that, but we focused on the main goal as a school.
Okay, so what's next for you?
What's next for me? I do intend to join the University of Nairobi to pursue civil and structural engineering, but of course, if God wills, we also aim higher and go abroad.
Okay, thank you so much.
And of course, congratulations to those students. I do understand our very own, that is Jacqueline Mashare, is currently at Kenya High and will duly inform you in all the celebrations that have been marked across the country. Once again, congratulations to the candidates of 2024 in the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education. Congratulations once more, and of course, enjoy those results. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim, the sign language interpreter. At the bottom end of the screen is Lucy Mora. Good afternoon for now.
Fika hapo ni kwa kusign, nikichukua kama anachukua rims 2, huwa na sign hapo nimechukua 2. Lakini
hakuna cha lakini. Ngoja. Hakuna cha lakini, asiweke lakini. Sasa utatufundisha vile tutafanya kazi hapa.
Lakini mimi hapana fanye huko.
Hii nayo huwezi kitoa. Hii huwezi kitoa. Hata ukondoe macho, hii huwezi kitoa. Askari. Nakulisha namna hivi. Wewe ni mwalimu hapo.
Umeniita aje?
Askari.
Alafu
mheshimiwa, wewe naona mimi na sasa